Hey, good morning. We have a press conference about to get underway in Kerrville. Officials there are going to bring us up to date.
Yeah, Sheriff Larry Lath is standing at the microphone now. I believe we're about to get it underway. Let's listen in.
Okay, y'all ready? Okay, thank y'all for being here again today. Larry Lath, the Kerr County Sheriff. I'm going to kind of go over some brief notes with y'all real quick, then I'm going to pass it on to the mayor. Hundreds of first responders remain along the Guadalupe River in Kerr County working to reunite families. The large search and rescue effort, including local, state, federal, and volunteer agencies, continue. As of 8 a.m. Central Time, 87 deceased have been recovered in Kerr County, including 56 adults and 30 children. Identification is pending for 19 adults and 7 children, with 1 additional person still unidentified. At present, 5 Camp Mystic campers and 1 counselor still remain unaccounted for. We ask private boats to stay off the Guadalupe River to allow search and rescue teams to operate without any interference. This is a tragic time for us. We're so grateful and thankful for all the resources that have been provided to us to do this job. And I can assure you we will not stop until this mission is complete. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to City Mayor.
Thank you for being here. I'm Joe Herring Jr. I'm Mayor of the City of Kerrville. I want to reassure our community and those families that the city, the county, the state, and the federal experts are working together, not separately, but as one team. If you go inside the Emergency Operations Center, you don't see silos. You see one team. I want to talk briefly about in-kind donations. The outpouring of generosity has been tremendous, and we are grateful. We are working on a new system to accept donations, and when those plans are complete, we will post them online on the city's Facebook page. We are grateful. We need a new system to handle the generosity of the world. Financial donations can still go to communityfoundation.net. That's the community foundation of the Texas Hill Country. Again, we are grateful for the generosity of the world. Over and over, I've asked you to pray. It occurred to me that I haven't asked you for what to pray specifically. Please pray for those who mourn, for those who wait, and for those who help. Now I'd like to call on Lieutenant Colonel Ben Baker.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Ben Baker, Lieutenant Colonel for Texas Game Wardens. I'd like to start out by thanking the Mayor, Sheriff, Chief, our local state partners, Texas Department of Public Safety, and the many others that have responded to this tragic event. We as Texas are strong, and together we face adversity. Your Texas Game Wardens responded in the early mornings of Friday to this tragic event, along with many other local and state partners. Since the early mornings of Friday, your Texas Gamers have had over 300 game wardens in the area, serving the people of the state of Texas and the citizens of Kerr County. Among that, we've searched 26 river miles since the tragic event has started. We've had approximately 444 rescues, 30 recoveries. Some of our resources and assets we have dedicated to this tragic event include 2 helicopters with hoist teams, 12 drone teams, 10 K9 units, 9 swiftwater boat crews, 15 airboats, 16 UTVs, and 169 four-wheel drive vehicles. Your Texas Game Wardens will remain here and serving the community. We just ask you to continue to pray for the victims, for the families, for your first responders, for everyone involved. We'll open it up now to questions. If anybody has any.
Can you talk about how challenging it is for you guys in the mud, the big trees? What's it been like, the difference of rain?
No, thank you for that question. Extremely challenging. You know, we've got, of course, your Texas Game Wardens out there, your local, your state partners, Texas Task Force 1. We've got the National Forest Service out there. We've got A&M Forest Service. We've got numerous responders with specialized capabilities where we've got these large pile of debris. And with our canines and you know, when we're trying to make these recoveries, these large piles can be very obstructive. And to get deep into these piles, it's very hazardous. And those specialized teams have to go in there layer by layer because our first responders, also the safety of them is concerned. So it's extremely treacherous, time consuming, it's dirty work, the water's still there. So we're having to go layer by layer, peeling these off to make those recoveries. So we're...
What about mentally? Like when you guys stumble across someone who may be deceased, how do you process that?
Absolutely. We process it the best we can. We have professionals in place, our crisis intervention team. All the agencies have some members representing there, and officer wellness is a first responder wellness is a key component to these operations. So we're maintaining and monitoring our officer wellness, our first responder wellness. We're making sure they have the support. It's very tragic whenever you see human life, but to see a child and that loss of life is extremely tragic.
More rain is expected to come down west of us, and eventually it's going to get down to Guadalupe River. Is that going to put a halt to the searches? And if not, how are you going to change the trajectory of the search and rescue operations?
So with the water coming down, that is always a concern, and I'm sure you've been monitoring the last couple of days where we've had some reports of maybe some additional water coming in. Obviously, that's going to impact the search and recovery efforts. You know, us with numerous other agencies do have air capabilities, drone capabilities. We've got numerous fixed wing, rotary helicopters here. So it will alter our patrol patterns and alter our searches, but it won't deter them.
Can you outline what specific discussions and actions were taken between the time the first flood emergency alert came in at 1:14 a.m. and then when the river first started flooding, those hours later? What were the specific actions and discussions that happened in those hours?
Can you repeat that again, please?
Absolutely. I would like to know if you could outline, please, what the specific actions and discussions were that local officials took between 1:14 a.m., that's when the first flood emergency alert came out, and hours later when the river first started flooding. What happened in those hours?
What I can tell you, when I was first notified, it was around the 4 to 5 area. One of my sergeants was in dispatch when the first calls started coming in, the actual 911 calls come in. It was between 4 and 5 when I got notified. Okay, but prior to that, in that 3 to 4 area, my understanding is, and we're in the process of trying to put a timeline. You know, that's going to take a little bit of time. As I've told you several times, that is not my priority this time. There's 3 priorities. That's locating the people out there, identifying and notifying the next of kin. That is what I'm taking as my job as sheriff here to do. Okay.
With all due respect, sir, I think that the community here is asking these questions. What happened? When did it happen? Was the emergency manager awake at the time? Did they push the button to issue an emergency alert?
Sir, it's not that easy when you just push a button, okay? There's a lot more to that. And we've told you several times.
So did it happen, sir?
I can't tell you at this time,
You
okay?
can't tell me if the emergency manager of the county actually issued an emergency alert.
Okay, Sheriff, who
Shimon,
is
just give me a second.
the
to answer
Emergency
the question.
Operations Center? Who runs
Let him answer the question.
the Emergency
I'll come back to you. I ain't going nowhere.
Appreciate it.
Who runs the Emergency Operations Center?
We have a communication center, a dispatch, okay? We have a communication center. That's where the calls actually go to the police department, then they're forwarded to us.
But leading up to this, in monitoring the weather, there's, in any large city, in any state, there's an Office of Emergency Management. that is monitoring the weather, that is watching and listening and getting briefings? Who was getting those briefings in this city, in this county? Who was receiving that information, and who would have ultimately made the decision to evacuate, hearing what was coming in from the Weather Service and other?
Okay, what we would have done when we get notified, okay, I'm gonna tell you.
You're not emergency management though, right? The sheriff's not EOC.
No, there is no, I'm at, as the city. Yeah, I'll do that.
So we understand you have many questions.
Right.
Hang on.
No, I understand, but you're not gonna answer the question because that's up to the city manager and the mayor to answer those
Correct.
It's the county emergency.
We understand you have many questions.
Where is the judge? The judge is not here.
We understand that, but right now, this team up here is focused on bringing people home. That's our focus. All those questions will be answered, but the priority right now
It seems like you're
is bringing people home.
We totally understand that, and we value the incredible work that is being done by those first responders. We're seeing them out there muddy and sweaty and grinding it out day after day. But your community is asking these questions.
And we will get answers. Right now, all of our resources are focused
You should be able
to
answer
recovery.
Who was in charge of the Emergency Operations Center at the time that was getting any briefing?
Do we have another question?
if any
I do.
briefings?
I think I'd like to focus on what local people can be looking for. We're looking at some erosion in roads and safety in them traveling. What can we tell people who live here right now and what they can do in their daily life? Should they worry about traveling on roads? Do we know anything about that infrastructure?
Sure, absolutely. Jonathan Lamb, Kerrville Police Department. So we know that there's substantial road damage. Some roads have been closed for safety. We've got crews out there in the county shoring them up and making sure that people can travel to and from. What we're asking for the public to do to assist us is if they believe that they have seen someone, a victim, notify emergency services. Call 911, let us know, or use our non-emergency numbers, area code 830-257-8181. Contact our dispatch team and we will send officers out there. We also ask folks to limit their travel. Our first responders have had a very difficult time getting to where they need to go because of the amount of people who are flooding our roadways. We understand there's natural curiosity. People want to come here and see the flood damage. Now is not the time for sightseeing. This operation is ongoing and continuous, and it will continue. I've got time for one more question. Last question. As far as I know, the last live rescue, unless there's new information, and I don't believe there is, was made on Friday. All right, I'm afraid that's going to have to do it for this morning.
Can someone answer if the bodies have been released to the families, Sheriff?
Excuse me.
Have the bodies been released to the families?
Some. But they're at autopsy.
How many are still missing? Do we have an estimate among the general population, not just the girls from Mystic, even just credible reports? Is it hundreds still? Is there any estimate among the general population of how many people are still missing?
I've told y'all several times, it's hard to know that number. No, we don't. I know the numbers that we have found, and that's all I know.
You still don't want to tell us who is.
All right, so we're going to continue our operations. The next time that we're going to be in front of y'all will be at 5 p.m. right back here. If there is a critical update, again, we'll provide that information to you through the contact list that you have provided to us. Thank y'all. We appreciate it.
All right, they're wrapping up a press conference there in Kerrville, giving us the latest numbers from the flooding there in Kerr County. Right now they have it as 87 dead, 56 adults, at least 30 children, and 5 of those Mystic campers and 1 counselor are still missing.
Yeah, and they said the last live rescue was made Friday. And then we heard from Larry Lathick, the Kerr County Sheriff. He says they still have 100 first responders out there trying to, work that area. They ask that you keep your boats off of the river if you are not part of those 100 teams. And they also, Joe Herring, of course, asking for prayers for those families who have lost people and for those first responders who are trying to, go back in that recovery.
And to give you a sense of just how difficult the job they have in front of them, we're talking about a 62-plus mile stretch from Hunt along the Guadalupe River down to Canyon Lake. They said so far they've covered just 26 miles of that search. This is the point now, from this point going forward, where it gets extremely difficult, because this is extremely rural areas. They were dealing with Hunt, Ingram, Kerrville, a more populated area down through the Comfort area. Now they're getting into very rural areas, ranch land that they'll have to literally walk across on foot to do the search to the rest of that 36 plus miles area.
And we heard from Lieutenant Colonel Ben Baker with the Texas Game Wardens, and we know the wardens have been there since Friday.
300 of them.
Yeah, since all of this started unfolding. They've made 444 rescues, 30 recoveries since that time. They have helicopters, drones out there, K9, 2 different types of water crews, a 4-wheel drives as well. So a lot of game wardens out there assisting.
And the interesting thing too, Lieutenant Baker had said that they have professionals out that are highly trained, specially trained units in swift water recovery and I'm sure mountain terrain, in rough country recoveries that are out there that are going to be doing those searches over the next, however long it takes. They gave no timeline for this. And one of the reporters again asking, do they have an idea of just how many people they possibly could be looking for? And again, they reiterated there's no way they can know what that exact number is. Sheriff Lathis saying, all I can tell you is the number of people we've found so far.
Yeah, and Sergeant Lamb, who we heard from there at the end, he did say, please limit your travel to Kerr County and Kerrville, because it is somewhat hindering those first responders who are trying to get to and from different locations. And of course, Mayor Joe Herring, he started talking about some of the donations that are coming into the town. They are working on a new system to accept those donations. He says there are just quite a few. It's just becoming so overwhelming, but they're so thankful for them. And to stay tuned to the city's Facebook page, they will get you some answers on where to send those donations.
Yeah, and he was talking about the generosity of the world. This is not just this is no longer a county, a state, a national thing. They have donations, supplies, people coming in from around the world to help. Now, the one thing we did notice, and you could see Sheriff Lathis getting visibly irritated with whoever the reporter was that kept trying to hammer them on why wasn't there an alarm issued, why wasn't there more warning given. And Paul, you actually have a timeline. They were, marking this down between 1:15 or 1:30, whenever that initial warning was given. They wanted to know what happened between 1:30 and 4:30 when that second warning was given.
Right. Well, we can walk through that exactly, and I'm going to go back even maybe a couple of days before. First thing I'm going to say is, in advance, many days in advance, you're probably not going to hear about catastrophic flooding being forecast. That's just way too much in advance. But this is what happened Tuesday through Thursday. Flooding was mentioned. And the day before, there was a flash flood watch that was issued. And then 6 o'clock that evening, there was a special discussion that was released about concerning trends. And I know that night I did myself. I posted that you have to stay aware because there's definitely the potential for flooding. Of course, I didn't mention anything about catastrophic, but did stay aware. Okay, so this is what happened. At 1:14, flash flood warning was issued, and that should trigger the wireless emergency alerts. At 2:28, there was another flash flood communication. 3:02, there was another one. And at 3:35, that warning was reissued, saying that the threat level was catastrophic for damage. And then at about 4:03, there was a flash flood emergency, and it did say potentially dangerous situation. That was all from the National Weather Service. Now, the river itself reached major flood stage at Hunt at somewhere around 4:10, give or take. It could have been as early as 3:45, but somewhere between there. And that's when the 911 calls started coming in. At Kerrville, it was about the same time, right around 4 a.m. That's when the river hit major flood stage. And then from there, it just went to catastrophic. So there were warnings that were issued before, but you had to be paying attention at that time.
In
Go
that
ahead.
area, I know we've heard throughout the week last week and over the weekend that a lot of people didn't get them until about 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 a.m. But I know there isn't a lot of wireless service in that area, so that could have been impactful as well. But I know when we were talking to Sergeant Lamb that morning, Friday morning, 4th of July, he said before that, sergeants, sheriff's deputies, officers were going door to door, going on the loudspeaker, trying to get people out, and that had to have been what? I mean,
Oh, that was very early.
Yeah, 6, 7 a.m. before that.
Even before that, we started seeing this flooding happen. We were getting reports of it here, and of course, we were monitoring online and several different things. We were getting those notices at, I don't know, 5:15, 5:30, somewhere around there, that they were going around. That's when we started to realize just how serious this situation was. And Paul, the thing that we can't stress enough is there are no sirens up in that area. As Audrey mentioned, there is limited wireless cell phone connection up in that area. And the fact that most of these people were getting ready for the 4th of July, chances are everybody was sleeping. Who knows if they even had their phones on or paid any attention to those warnings that were issued that we all get on our phones and just look at.
Exactly. I mean, we're all guilty of the warning in the middle of the night because it's in the middle of the night. So I think the real, the one thing that they really need is like in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for tornadoes.
Yes.
Sirens that would wake everybody up. I don't know, it's going to cost a lot of money, but I think that is probably what the Guadalupe River needs, and that's just my opinion.
And the sheriff said, you know, right now their focus is on those people who are still missing. Right now, they still have so many people who are missing. They don't even have a number, but total confirmed who are deceased, 87. 56 adults, 30 children. That number is just staggering.
It is staggering, and one thing that we do know is sometime in the future, let's pray it never happens again, but if you look at history, one day in the future, something similar to this is going to happen.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just, that's the way the Guadalupe River is. It can be a very dangerous river. I mean, most of our rivers here in South Central Texas can be very dangerous. So, especially the Guadalupe River, definitely, and that Blanco River Basin can be really tough. You know, in Wimberley, I think it was 18 had deadly occurrence. So, you know, unfortunately, it probably will happen again. I don't know where, but it probably will.
Well, there were several contributing factors to this. First of all, the fact that this started at 1 o'clock in the morning. And went through before daylight up to, let's just say, 5 o'clock. And we had that tropical system, if you will, that formed and just sat there and stalled over an area that was absolutely prone to flood.
You know, this is the real interesting thing, too, as well. There was the potential that this could happen somewhere. But that MCV, that mesoscale convective vortex, could have been in Kendall County, could have been maybe Blanco County, could have been anywhere along there.
It just stopped at the wrong place.
It was just right there in western Kerr County. Really in a perfect place where you got the north and the south fork that go right into the Guadalupe River.
That formed the Guadalupe.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much for that insight, Paul.
Yep.
Right now, if you would like to help those impacted by Friday's floods, you can head over to our website on kens5.com.
Yeah, we have a list of local nonprofits, state and national organizations that are looking for supplies. And in all honesty, at this moment, what they need now is donations and monetary donations. We're going to keep that list updated. Whenever we get some information, we obviously will pass this on to you. And we're making it easy for you to make a monetary donation to support this effort. You can just scan that QR code on your screen there, donate to our Tegna, Texas Flood Relief Fund. Your dollars will go directly to flood victims who need the help.
And of course, we'll bring you the very latest on kens5.com. The next press briefing will be at 5 p.m., so be sure to join us then.